You don't have to be strong all the time. The exhaustion of holding everything together. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being strong meant never falling apart. Being strong meant smiling when our hearts were breaking, showing up even when we were exhausted, saying "I'm fine," even when we weren't. Being the dependable one. The helper, the encourager, the person everyone else leaned on. And perhaps you've worn that role for so long that you don't even know how to take it off anymore. People admire your strength. They praise your resilience. They tell you they don't know how you do it. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, you're barely holding yourself together. You answer everyone's calls. You remember everyone's birthdays. You carry everyone's burdens. You show up for everyone else's crises. You become the shoulder others cry on. And then, when your own heart is heavy, you quietly tell yourself, "I can handle it. I just have to get through today. Other people need me more. I don't have time to fall apart." So you keep going, even when you're tired, even when you're grieving, even when you're overwhelmed, even when you're running on empty. And eventually, what began as strength slowly turns into survival. You stop asking yourself what you need. You stop acknowledging your own pain. You become so focused on being everything to everyone else that you forget you are human too. Friend, can I gently ask you something? Who taught you that being strong meant never needing help? Who convinced you that tears were weakness? Who made you believe that carrying impossible burdens alone was somehow holy? Because that's not the example Jesus gave us. Jesus withdrew from crowds. He rested. He wept. He asked his closest friends to stay awake and pray with him in Gethsemane. He experienced sorrow, fatigue, heartbreak. He didn't pretend pain didn't affect him. And yet somehow many of us have created a version of faith that demands emotional perfection. We believe we must always have the right answer, always be grateful, always be composed, always be brave, always be okay. But what if that's not strength at all? What if true strength isn't pretending you don't hurt? What if true strength is honesty? Admitting, "I'm tired, I'm struggling, I don't know how much more I can carry." Because denying your humanity doesn't make you stronger, it simply makes you lonelier. Maybe you're listening to this while taking care of aging parents, trying to hold your marriage together, working long hours, raising children, managing financial stress, showing up at church, supporting friends, fighting battles in your own mind. And maybe nobody realizes how exhausted you really are. You smile, you keep moving, you keep functioning. But deep down, part of you is whispering, "I can't keep doing this." Friend, if that's where you are today, I want you to hear this. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify your exhaustion. You don't have to prove your worth by how much you can carry. And you don't have to be strong all the time. Because being human isn't a failure. Needing support isn't a weakness. And admitting you're tired isn't the same as giving up. Perhaps the strongest thing you can do today is tell the truth. Even if it's only whispered in prayer. Even if it's only spoken to yourself. Even if all you can say is, "God, I'm tired." Because maybe healing doesn't begin with trying harder. Maybe healing begins with finally admitting, "I can't do this alone anymore." And maybe that's exactly where God's grace has been waiting for you all along. Even the strongest people need rest. One of the most dangerous lies many of us believe is this: if I stop, everything will fall apart. So we keep going. We push through exhaustion, ignore the headaches, dismiss the tears, silence the warning signs. We tell ourselves, just one more day, after this project, after the kids are older, after things settle down, after everyone else is okay. But life has a way of reminding us that we are not machines. We were never created to run endlessly without rest. Eventually, our bodies begin to speak what our hearts have been trying to ignore. Fatigue settles into our bones. Patience grows thin. Small inconveniences feel overwhelming. Joy becomes harder to access. And sometimes we mistake burnout for failure. Friend, exhaustion doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been carrying more than you were designed to carry alone. Even Elijah experienced this. After one of the greatest victories of his life, he collapsed beneath a tree in the wilderness. This mighty prophet, who had called down fire from heaven, this man of extraordinary faith, reached a point where he simply couldn't do it anymore. He was afraid, overwhelmed, emotionally exhausted. He wanted to give up. And what's remarkable is how God responded. God didn't shame Elijah. He didn't say, "You should have stronger faith. Why are you struggling after all I've done for you? Pull yourself together." Instead, God allowed Elijah to rest. He provided food, water, sleep, gentleness, presence. Before correction came compassion. Before instruction came restoration. Sometimes we forget that. We assume God is disappointed in our limitations. But perhaps God understands them better than anyone. After all, He is the one who created us. He knows the weight of responsibilities you carry, the pressure you place upon yourself, the expectations others have of you, the battles you're fighting that nobody knows about. He sees the parent who feels guilty for needing a break, the caregiver who hasn't stopped long enough to breathe, the employee afraid to admit that they're overwhelmed, the church volunteer who says yes to everything while their soul quietly withers, the person everyone calls strong, the one everyone assumes is okay. And maybe that's you. Maybe people admire your resilience because they've never seen your tears. They don't know how many nights you've stayed awake worrying, how often you've cried in private, how many times you've whispered, "Lord, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." Can I tell you something? You don't have to deserve rest. Rest isn't a reward for finishing everything. If that were true, none of us would ever rest. There will always be another task, another responsibility, another person who needs something, another reason to keep pushing. But Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He didn't say, "Come to me once you've handled everything." He didn't say, "Come back when you're stronger." He said, "Come, weary, burdened, heavy-hearted, exactly as you are." Maybe rest for you doesn't look like a vacation. Maybe it's 5 quiet minutes before the day begins, a walk outside, saying no without guilt, asking someone else for help, turning off your phone, going to bed earlier, allowing yourself to cry, letting yourself admit, "I need a moment." Those small acts aren't selfish. They're stewardship, because you cannot pour endlessly from an empty cup. You cannot continually give what you no longer possess. Even Jesus stepped away from the crowds. Even Jesus rested. So why do we believe we must be available to everyone all the time? Why do we hold ourselves to standards God Himself never asked of us? Friend, you don't have to prove your value through exhaustion. Your worth is not measured by productivity. Your identity is not found in how much you sacrifice, and your ability to keep going is not what makes God love you. You are loved before you accomplish another thing. You are worthy of compassion. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to receive the rest your soul has been begging for. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who never stop. They're the ones who finally realize, "I wasn't meant to carry this by myself." And perhaps today, God isn't asking you to be stronger. Perhaps He's simply inviting you to come and rest, letting other people in. One of the hardest things for strong people to do is ask for help. Not because they don't need it, but because they've convinced themselves they shouldn't. Somewhere along the way, they learned that needing others was dangerous. Maybe people let them down. Maybe they had to grow up too quickly. Maybe there wasn't anyone they could depend on. So they became independent, capable, reliable, self-sufficient, the one who had it together, the one who fixed problems, the one who carried everyone else's burdens. And after doing that for years, asking for help begins to feel almost impossible. Because if you're the strong one, who takes care of you? Who checks in on you? Who notices when your smile is hiding exhaustion? Who asks if you're okay when everyone assumes you are? The truth is, many strong people suffer in silence. Not because they want to, but because they don't know how to do anything else. They say, "I don't want to be a burden. People have enough problems already. I'll figure it out myself. I just need to be stronger." But friend, you were never meant to carry life alone. From the very beginning, God said, "It is not good for man to be alone." We often think of that verse only in terms of marriage, but the principle reaches much further. God designed us for connection, for community, for support, for shared burdens. Even Moses needed help. When the responsibilities of leading God's people became overwhelming, his father-in-law Jethro said, "What you are doing is not good. You cannot handle it alone." Moses wasn't failing. He was human. He needed others to stand beside him. And when he accepted help, the burden became lighter. Even the Apostle Paul, who endured shipwrecks, imprisonment, persecution, and hardship, repeatedly expressed gratitude for the people who strengthened and encouraged him. The early church survived because believers carried one another through difficult seasons. No one was expected to do life alone, yet so many of us still try. We isolate ourselves. We tell everyone, "I'm fine." Even when we're drowning, we disappear when we're hurting. We avoid vulnerability because we've mistaken independence for strength. But isolation has a way of making burdens heavier. The thoughts become louder, the fear becomes stronger, the exhaustion deepens. Because pain grows in secrecy. Healing often begins in safe connection. That doesn't mean you have to tell everyone everything. Not everyone earns access to your deepest wounds. But perhaps God is inviting you to trust someone. A pastor, a trusted friend, a family member, a counselor, a mentor, someone who can sit beside you and remind you that you don't have to carry this by yourself. Because sometimes strength looks like saying, "I need help." Sometimes courage sounds like, "I'm not okay." Sometimes faith whispers, "Will you pray for me?" And perhaps those simple words require more bravery than pretending everything is fine. Friend, the people who love you don't expect you to be invincible. And God certainly doesn't. He never asked you to become your own savior. He never assigned you the role of carrying the entire world on your shoulders. That position already belongs to Him. You don't have to rescue everyone. You don't have to fix every problem. You don't have to hold every relationship together. You don't have to carry responsibilities that were never yours to begin with. You can put some things down. You can let people walk beside you. You can receive the same compassion you've so freely given to others. And maybe that's the invitation today. Not to become stronger, but to become honest. To stop pretending you can do this alone. To stop believing that vulnerability makes you weak. To allow someone to sit beside you in your weariness. Because the strongest people aren't those who never need anyone. They're the ones who finally realize, "I wasn't created to carry this by myself." And perhaps healing begins the moment you stop asking, "How much more can I endure?" And start asking, "Who can walk with me through this?" Because God often answers our prayers for strength through the people He places beside us. And maybe, just maybe, the next step in your healing isn't learning how to carry more. It's learning that you don't have to carry it alone. The strength of surrender. Maybe by now you're realizing something you haven't allowed yourself to admit in a very long time. You're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but soul tired. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying too much for too long. The kind that settles deep within your spirit. You've been strong for everyone else. Strong through heartbreak. Strong through disappointment. Strong through uncertainty. Strong when people depended on you. Strong when no one noticed how much you were sacrificing. Strong because you felt like you had no other choice. And perhaps somewhere along the way, you forgot that being strong was never supposed to mean carrying everything by yourself. Friend, what if surrender isn't weakness? What if surrender is wisdom? Because surrender doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean abandoning responsibility. Surrender simply means recognizing the difference between what belongs to you and what belongs to God. Some things are yours to carry: your obedience, your choices, your love, your faithfulness, your willingness to take the next step. But other things were never yours to hold. The future, the outcome, other people's reactions, the burdens of everyone around you, the responsibility to save everyone, the pressure to be everything to everyone, those things belong in God's hands. Psalm 55 verse 22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord and He will sustain you." Notice what Scripture doesn't say. It doesn't say, manage your burden better. It doesn't say, pretend your burden doesn't exist. It says, cast it, release it, hand it over. Trust that God can carry what you cannot. And perhaps that's difficult because carrying burdens has become familiar. You've learned to survive by staying in control. You've believed that if you just try harder, plan better, worry more, work longer, you can prevent pain, protect everyone, keep everything together. But friend, you were never meant to be God. You were never called to sustain the entire world. You don't have to hold the pieces of every broken situation. You don't have to fix every person you love. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to know how the story ends. You simply have to trust the one who does. Maybe today, surrender looks like praying, "Lord, I cannot carry this anymore." Maybe it means admitting, "I don't know what happens next." Maybe it means loosening your grip on outcomes you cannot control. Maybe it means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Maybe it means asking for help. Maybe it means crying the tears you've been holding back for years. Maybe it means finally believing that God's love for you isn't dependent on your performance. Because here's the truth. God never asked you to impress him. He never said, "I'll love you once you stop struggling. I'll be proud of you once you become stronger. I'll stay with you as long as you never break down." No, he simply says, "Come to me, exactly as you are. Tired, overwhelmed, fearful, discouraged, weary." He welcomes the version of you that everyone else sees, but he also welcomes the version of you that nobody sees. The one who cries in private, the one who lies awake at night, the one who wonders how much longer they can keep going, the one who whispers, "I don't think I can do this anymore." He isn't repelled by your weakness. He moves toward it with compassion, because grace was never reserved for people who had it all together. Grace is for tired people, for overwhelmed people, for people who don't know what to do next, for people learning that surrender is not failure. Friend, perhaps the bravest thing you'll do after listening to this message isn't pushing harder. Perhaps it's putting something down. The unrealistic expectations, the impossible standards, the need to always appear okay. The belief that your worth depends on how much you can endure. Because you don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to carry tomorrow before it arrives. And you don't have to walk this road alone. So if your soul is weary today, breathe. Take the next step slowly. Rest when you need to. Receive help when it's offered. Trust God with what you cannot control. And remember this, the strongest people are not those who never break. They are the ones who finally discover that true strength isn't found in carrying everything alone. It's found in knowing when to surrender what was never theirs to carry in the first place. So let this be your permission. You can rest. You can ask for help. You can stop pretending. You can let God be God. And you can simply be human. Because being human was never your failure. And God's grace has always been enough for people just like us. People who are tired, people who are trying, people who don't always have it together. People who are learning day by day that they don't have to be strong all the time.